My name is Kristina, and today's class is called Stretch and Release. It's inspired by this idea that when you suppress your emotions for too long, they tend to show up elsewhere in our bodies. So if you've been feeling anxious or emotionally heavy or restless recently, you know exactly what I mean. Today we're going to be working with heart openers, with hip openers, and forward bends to help release some of that tension and stress in our body and get the juices flowing again. So whenever you're ready, I invite you to join me on the mat. Let's begin. We're going to start today's class in a comfortable seated position, cross-legged, with your hands resting gently on your knees. And whenever you're ready, gently closing your eyes. Taking a moment here to fully arrive on the mat, putting aside anything else from your day, from your week, the future and the past can both wait. Give yourself permission to fully relax, come into the present moment. We're going to begin today's practice by taking 3 deep and cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, emptying your lungs here. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Once again, breathing in and breathing out. One more time, breathing in and breathing out, letting go of anything that no longer serves you. I want you to imagine that there's a long golden thread pulling from the top of your head towards the sky, lengthening the spine, opening the heart, and fully relaxing the shoulders, the muscles of the forehead, and the jaw. Bringing our attention first to the sounds that we hear in the distance, or in this room. Giving yourself permission not to react, but simply to listen and awaken our senses to the environment around us. Bringing our awareness now to the sensations that we feel in our body. Noticing the points of contact between your sit bones and the floor. Your pelvis rooting into the ground as your spine reaches upwards, fully supported by the earth underneath you. Feel the skin of your fingertips touching your knees, the rise and fall of your chest with every inhale and every exhale. Let's take a moment here to check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? See if you can find one word oftentimes we suppress our emotions and we let that tension build up inside of us. Meditation can help us to identify how we're feeling, simply based on the physiological experience that we're having within our body. If you feel anxious or stressed, your breathing might get shallow and rapid. Your heart rate increases. You may feel a tightness in your chest. But when relaxed, our breathing slows down. We lift our spines and open our hearts and move around the world with a greater sense of confidence and calm. Look inside yourself. Peering into the stillness that is at the core of each and every one of us. Bringing your attention to the breath. Start to observe it here, just breathing normally. Noticing the rise and the fall of every inhale and exhale, and the points in which they lead seamlessly into one another. Beginning to deepen the breath, extending the length of every inhale and exhale. Try to really empty out the lungs and refill them again. And we'll start to cultivate our ujjayi, or ocean breath. With every exhale, imagining that you're fogging up a mirror in front of your face, but keeping the mouth closed. You can begin to cultivate the sound of the waves. This technique of breathing helps us to generate heat in our body, as well as lengthen the exhales to cultivate greater peace and calm. We will use this to guide us in our movement today. On your next inhale, preparing to invite movement to the body, let's raise the arms overhead. And exhale, bring the palms together to touch in front of the heart, lowering the chin to the chest. And let's take a moment to set an intention for ourselves here. How would you like to feel after you step off the mat today? Or maybe you'd like to dedicate this practice to someone or something in your life. It could be yourself. Whatever that may be, I encourage you to keep that in mind as we move today. On your next exhale, slowly lowering your palms back to your knees, gently fluttering open the eyes, and lifting the head. Moving on now, just to start rolling ourselves out, we're going to begin with some neck rolls. So feel free to close your eyes again if you'd like. We're going to start rolling out the neck, going counterclockwise, feeling the stretch on all sides. And then reversing, going the other direction. As you come forward, really trying to feel the chin reaching the chest, and relaxing your head as you move back, ironing out all the kinks from staring at your laptop or television all day. And then slowly coming back to center now. We're going to proceed with some shoulder rolls. So as you inhale, lifting the elbows to the ears, and exhale to drop them down completely. Let's repeat that a few more times, inhaling to lift, and exhale to release. Excellent. One more time, inhaling to lift, and exhale to release. We're going to continue with some seated cat-cows now. So as we exhale, we're going to round the spine, tuck the chin to the chest, and send our weight back. And on the inhale, shifting our weight forward, opening the heart, leaning here. And exhale to round the spine, emptying the lungs of all air. And inhaling to come forward, opening the chest, really lean into that. Repeat that a few more times on your own breath. And then slowly begin to go in some circles here. Maybe beginning counterclockwise or clockwise. Leaning into all angles of movement, perhaps keeping your eyes closed. And then going the other way. Beginning to awaken the spine, but always moving in conjunction with our breath. And when you're ready, coming back to a neutral position, elongating the spine, sitting up straight. On an inhale, we're going to bring our hands to L-shaped for cactus arms, with the elbows somewhat in line with the shoulders here. And as we exhale, we're going to close the book in front of our face, round the spine, and touch the elbows and the hands. Inhale to open the book, really reach the chest forward, have the shoulder blades touch behind the back, and repeat. Exhale, round the spine, close the book, and inhale to come forward, open that chest up. Great job. Couple more times on your own breath, gently, moving slowly and deliberately, relishing the slowing down of movement with the breath. And finally, bringing those hands back to neutral, coming back to your knees. We're going to move to the next set of exercises. So hoping that you're warmed up here, we're going to move into a tabletop position. So come meet me on your hands and knees with your fingers outstretched, palms directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips, and we'll continue the cat-cows in this position. Inhaling to lower the belly, lift the tailbone and look up. And exhaling to round the spine, tuck the chin into the chest. Good job. And inhaling to lift. And exhaling, round the spine. Let's go right into some freestyle movements here. Perhaps you want to move your spine in circles, going one way or the other. Or maybe you want to go completely freestyle, sending your hips back, setting them forward. Whatever feels good for your body right now. Find what feels good and be gentle with yourself. Letting go of all tension here. And finally, we're going to, if you're on a mat, come backwards a little bit and start walking the hands out slowly until your chest is almost touching the ground. Rest your forehead on the mat for puppy dog pose, keeping the hips in the sky. And you'll start to feel the stretch in your shoulders and the upper back. Relaxing here. Reconnecting with yourself. And inhaling to come back into tabletop. Let's widen the knees here so they're a little bit further apart than the toes, and send our hips backwards for a full child's pose. Relax your forehead on the mat. You can come to this pose at any time that you need during this practice. Take a few more deep breaths here. And on our next inhale, we're going to reach the arms over to the left, just walking them leftwards. And you're going to feel a stretch in your right side body from the fingertips all the way to the right hip. Breathe into that right side body here and hold. And on your next exhale, let's walk those hands back to center, and then walk them over to the right side of your mat. And you're going to feel a stretch on your left side body now, from the left fingertips all the way to the left hip. Breathing deeply here. Focusing on your breath. And let's walk those hands back to center slowly. And then inhale to come up into a tabletop position. Bring those knees back close together, and let's come onto the toes and prepare to push into our first downward facing dog. So keeping the fingers activated and outstretched, clawing into the mat, send those hips up and backwards into your first downward facing dog. Feel free to walk out your dog, bending one knee and the other. Trying to send the other heel as close as you can to the mat without sacrificing the length in the spine. And come back to neutral, taking a few deep breaths here. And on your next inhale, look in between the hands, step or walk to the front of the mat, and exhale, forward fold. Grabbing both elbows in the hands, allow yourself to fully relax. Maybe you want to nod your head yes, or shake your head no. Letting yourself hang here. Maybe closing your eyes. Being fully aware of your weight as it shifts between the corners of your feet. And releasing both of the elbows on your next inhale, we're going to roll slowly up to standing, one vertebrae at a time, so that the head is the last thing to come up. And we meet in Tadasana pose, standing, keeping the spine elongated and the shoulders back and relaxed. Let's continue with sun salutations. Inhaling to raise the arms overhead. And exhale, bring the palms to touch in front of the heart. One more time, inhaling arms overhead. And exhale, forward fold all the way down, relax. Inhale to halfway lift, straight spine. And exhale to forward fold. Let's plant those hands on the ground and step back into a high plank here. And for our first vinyasa or flow, we're going to do this on our knees. So slowly, let's lower the knees to the mat and untuck the toes. On your next exhale, we're going to hug the elbows by our ribs and bend them at our sides to come all the way down to the mat. Bringing those hands forwards and outwards a bit, inhaling to lift the chest, baby cobra, back bend. And exhale to come all the way back down. Returning those hands to the sides of our ribs, inhaling to come into a tabletop position. And exhale to push back up into downward facing dog. few deep breaths here. On your next inhale, let's look in between the hands. Step or walk to the front of the mat and exhale, forward fold. Begin to feel the backs of the hamstrings stretching and opening up here. And inhale, halfway lift, straight spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Once more, inhaling, raising the hands overhead. And exhale, forward fold all the way down, planting the hands on the ground and stepping back into a high plank this time. We're going to go through option 2 of the Vinyasa, the Chaturanga Dandasana, to the upward facing dog. So let's start by shifting the weight forward and back on our toes. Inhaling to come forward, exhaling to come back. Beginning to feel the calves opening up here. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale to bring the weight all the way forward and bend your elbows right by your ribs to come all the way to the ground, almost. Finally, flipping the toes, lifting the chest on the inhale into the upward facing dog. Finally, exhaling, downward facing dog. So in this class, if I say to take a Vinyasa, you can take either of those 2 options, the knees in the Cobra, or the Chaturanga Dandasana to the upward facing dog. On your next inhale, looking in between the hands, let's step or walk to the front of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. This time, as we inhale to come up, we're going to sit back into a chair pose or Utkatasana. Bringing the elbows up by the ears, but relaxing the shoulders. Imagine that you're squeezing a block in between your thighs. Awakening the legs here. Good. And exhale, release, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, coming all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Once more, inhaling, raising the arms overhead. And exhale, forward fold all the way down to the ground. Let's step back into the high plank and go through the flow of your choice. Breathing deeply in downward facing dog. And on your next inhale, we're going to raise the right leg to the sky. Come onto the left tippy toes. Bend that knee and exhale to step that foot in between the hands. And lower the left knee to the ground, untucking the toes. Inhaling with sweeping the arms up into a low lunge. Opening the hips here. Opening the heart. And exhale. Let's bring those hands back down. Send the hips backwards so that the front toes come off the mat for a hamstring stretch on the right side. So trying now to bring your chest to the knee, extending the spine, and feeling that stretch. Breathe here. And inhaling, let's come back, placing our hands on either side of the right foot, coming onto the left toes, lifting the back knee, then stepping back, go through your flow. On
next inhale, raising the left leg to the sky, coming onto the right toes, bending that left knee. Exhale, stepping it in between the hands. Let's lower the right knee to the ground, untuck the toes, inhaling up into a low lunge. And bringing the hands back down, sending the hips backwards. Let's bring the chest as close to the knee as we can on the left side for that left hamstring stretch. And bringing our weight back forward, let's come onto the right knee, step the left foot back, and go through your flow. On your next inhale, looking in between the hands, step or walk to the front of the mat and exhale, forward fold. Inhaling to come up into a chair pose. Sitting back into the chair, activating the thighs. And release, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Once more, inhaling, arms overhead. And exhale, forward fold all the way down, stepping back, go through your flow. Moving slowly and deliberately. Try to really feel your body here. Without rushing, taking child's pose if you need to. On your next inhale, let's lift the right leg up, come onto the left toes, bend that right leg, and step that right foot through in between the hands, lowering the back knee down to the ground, untucking the toes. Inhale into a low lunge. This time we have a few options for you. You can do prayer pose in front of your heart and go for the twist, putting the left elbow outside the right knee, opening your chest to the right, and try to look behind your right shoulder. If this feels good for you, maybe you want to open your arms out wide for a revolved low crescent lunge. Maybe you want to put your right hand back onto the left thigh, bring the left arm up. Or if you want a really deep stretch, bring the left hand down next to your right foot and grab your right foot or your left foot in your right hand for a quad stretch on the left side, looking over the right shoulder. If you have sensitive knees, you might want to bring a small folded up blanket to cushion you. But find what feels good for you. Excellent. Slowly releasing. Bringing the hands back outside the right foot. Let's come onto the left toes. Step back and go through your flow. On your next inhale, raising the left leg to the sky. Come onto the right toes, bend that left knee, and step that foot in between the hands, lowering the right knee down to the ground, untucking the toes. Inhale up into a low lunge. Next, you might want to go for the twist, putting your right elbow outside of the left knee and looking behind you. using that pressure between the right elbow and the left knee to really rotate your chest behind you. If you're feeling adventurous, maybe you want to bring both arms outstretched. Maybe you want to bring the left hand to the back of the right thigh and bring the right arm upwards. And if you want to go deeper, you can bring the right arm to the ground and grab your right foot in your left hand for a quad stretch, looking behind you. Excellent. And release here. We're going to come back onto our hands, stepping back into a high plank, and go through your flow. We'll meet in child's pose. Taking a moment here to reconnect with your breath. Reconnect with your intention. Noticing how your body might feel a bit different from when we started class. Enjoying the additional space you've created. Inhaling, let's come back into a tabletop and into a downward facing dog. And get ready for the next sequence. On your next inhale, looking in between the hands, step or walk to the front of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. We're now going to go into some series of deeper standing stretches, beginning with the intense side stretch. So first we're going to step the left foot back a little bit closer than one leg's length so that the left toes are pointed at 11 o'clock with the hips still facing the front. Keeping our left hand on, our right hand on our hip, we're going to inhale and raise the left hand overhead, lengthening the spine, and exhale to hinge forward at the hips. Inhaling to extend, and exhale to come forward. Then bring your other hand to interlace fingers behind the back and try to bring that chest closer to the right knee, relaxing the head. And you should feel this in the right hamstrings. On your next exhale, bringing your both of the hands to the hips and slowly and with control, rising back up to standing. Great job. Switching the feet now, we're going to step the right foot back instead so that the toes are pointed towards 1 o'clock. And we're going to keep the left hand on the hip this time and inhale to sweep the right arm up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, keeping the spine long. Inhale to extend. Exhale, hinge forward, and then let's interlace fingers and bring the chest closer to the left knee, feeling that stretch in the left hamstring. On your next exhale, returning those hands to the hips, inhaling to slowly come back up to standing. And this time, first let's shake out the feet and then come to face the long edge of the mat and spread your feet very wide, like super wide here. And we're going to place both hands on our hips and repeat this process for sort of a forward fold. So inhaling, let's first open the chest, elongate the spine, and exhale, start slowly hinging forward, not going all the way. Inhale to extend again, and exhale to come forward. And eventually you're going to want to bring your hands to the ground, directly underneath your shoulders, and just let your head hang loose. intense, wide-legged standing forward fold. You'll feel the stretch in both of your legs here. As an alternative option, you can also choose to grab your feet. Try to bring your head as close as you can to the ground, seeing the world through a different perspective. And on your next exhale, bring your hands back to your hips. Let's slowly and with deliberate control, inhaling to come back up to standing. And feel free to step the feet in, shake it out. And we're gonna do that one more time with a slightly different variation. So again, spreading our feet wide and bringing our hands to our hips, inhaling to extend, lift the chest to the sky, and start folding forward on the exhale. And this time, we're actually gonna interlace our fingers behind our back. And as we come down, so that our forehead, or actually the top of our head, points towards the ground, we're gonna bring the shoulders as well, so we get that dual stretch in the shoulder blades. Let yourself hang here. Excellent job. And then slowly bring your hands to the ground. We're gonna inhale to halfway lift with a straight spine, look forward. And exhale, forward fold. Bringing your hands back to our hips, let's slowly come back up to standing. And we're done with the standing stretches. So just walking your feet inwards, shaking it out. And we're gonna do one final vinyasa, and then we're gonna come to a seated position. So join me at the front of our mat. Inhaling, raising our arms overhead. Exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. One final time. Really drinking in that sunshine, feeling grateful for the breath that moves through our body. Exhale, forward fold. One last vinyasa. Moving slowly with intention here. And let's meet in child's pose again for one more check-in. Noticing our breath. And when you're ready, we're going to come into a seated position with our legs in front of us. Maybe you'd like to move the flesh from your sit bones just to the side a bit. And we're going to meet in Dandasana, or staff pose. So keeping the spine straight, maybe with our hands a little bit behind here. Inhale, we're going to raise both of our arms overhead. And exhale, we're going to start hinging forward, but not all the way. Inhale to extend. Exhale to come forward. And repeat this pattern until your hands fall wherever they may for you today, whether it's the shins, the ankle, or the feet. And try to bring your chest closer to your knees. Breathe deeply here. Great job. And slowly release, coming back up to a seated position. This time we're going to bend the left knee and bring it in so that the foot is a little bit closer to you than the right knee. And just let that fall open to the side. Keeping our right hand on our hip, inhale, let's raise the left hand to the sky and start hinging forward. Inhaling to extend, exhale to reach, bring the other arm to join it, and let's have that hand fall where it may for a hamstring stretch on the right side. Can you also feel this in the left side body? Breathe deeply here, activating that ujjayi. See if you can try to create more space. And slowly release, coming back up to seated. Let's close that left knee, placing our left hand behind us this time, and inhale to raise the right arm overhead. And exhale, like a stop sign, we're gonna place that right elbow outside of the left knee and use the pressure to twist and look behind us for mariachi's pose. Excellent. And release, coming back forward. Let's switch out the legs here. So bending the right knee, let's bring it in closer to the left knee and let that fall open. Bringing the left hand to the hips, inhale, raise the right arm overhead. And exhale, hinge forward. Inhale to reach, exhale, extend. Bring the left hand to meet it. And let your hands fall where they may. Feeling the stretch in the left hamstrings. Breathing into the right side body. Trying to create more space. And release, slowly coming back up to seated, folding that right hand in, right knee in, and placing the right hand behind us. Inhale, let's raise the left arm overhead, and stop sign. Place that left elbow outside of the right knee, and use that pressure to turn your spine and rotate it so you can look over your right shoulder behind you. Fantastic. And slowly coming back to center, let's extend that and get ready for the last bit of our exercise. So come slowly, meet me lying down, keeping the knees bent so that you can touch the heels with your middle fingers. We're going to do one final pose before Savasana, bridge pose. So on your exhales, we're going to push the navel and the belly up towards the sky. Keeping the thighs activated, squeezing an invisible block between them to keep the knees from splaying out. Maybe you want to interlace fingers behind your back, using your shoulder blades to cushion you. Really squeeze the glutes here. This is a nice counter pose to all the forward folding we've been doing. And on your next exhale, release, taking your shoulders out and slowly one vertebrae at a time, coming back to the mat. Great job, once more. Exhaling, push upwards. Feeling that string, drawing the navel overhead, interlacing the fingers behind the back. And exhale, slowly come back down, and we're going to do that one more time. Getting ready, and exhale to push, activating the glutes. And really enjoying this pose here. And release. Bringing every vertebrae back to the ground. Get ready for your final Shavasana or resting. You deserve it. Bringing your palms face up to touch on the ground. And gently closing your eyes. Allowing your body to benefit from all the wonderful things from this practice, all the space we've created, and the ability to come closer to ourselves through all the forward folds, the openness to new experiences with the heart openers, and the courage to be curious with our own feelings. Turn your attention back
invite some movement back into the body by wiggling the fingers and the toes, rolling out the wrists and the ankles. Let's take one more stretch here. Inhaling, bringing both arms overhead. Really elongate the spine. Take a yawn if you'd like. Stretching out, making yourself big. Taking up all the space that you deserve. And exhale, bringing those hands back. And we're going to slowly roll over onto your right side, using your right arm as a pillow. For a couple more moments here. Thanking yourself for coming to the mat today and investing this time in yourself. Slowly on your own time, using the left hand to push yourself back up into a seated position with your hands on your knees and keeping the eyes closed here. On your next inhale, we're going to raise both arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Lower your chin to the chest. Reflecting back on the intention you set today, I'd like to thank you for sharing your practice with me. So often in life, we move through without stopping to really think how we feel. Sometimes we even have feelings about our feelings. But the first step is merely acknowledging and listening to our emotions, to our body. Listening to what we really need, allowing ourselves to create the space for recovery, for recharging, and for growth. I wish you all the best after you step off the mat today. Namaste.